a lack of leadership, a lack of direction, a lack of organization, an overall total train wreck. That is the state, the display of this Liverpool side right now. What we saw last night in Turkey against Galatasaray for the second time this season was absolute deja vu of what happened earlier on in the campaign, was a total lack of energy, intensity, and I'm bored of it. I am bored of the same old stuff every single week. Every single week, it's the same old, same old. Every single week, we come here and we say the same things over and over again. And I'm bored of it. I am so friggin' bored of it. I'm bored of calling out the same players. I'm bored of calling out players in general. I'm bored of calling out certain moments. I'm bored of calling out this manager. So it's at a point now where I'm not calling out. Well, I still am calling out the manager. But I'm at a point now where my focus now is on the club for letting it get to this point. My focus now is on the club of what is turning into be gross negligence for letting this continue for as long as what it has done. Last night's performance against Galatasaray was nothing short of embarrassing, terrible, and just really, really pathetic. Really, really pathetic. And look, it's only the first half. We've still got another game to go at Anfield next week. We probably will win that game. We'll probably fight back from this 1-goal deficit. There is a good chance we will, and especially with there being no Galatasaray fans being allowed at Anfield next week, we probably will get back to overturning this 1-goal deficit. But don't let that, if that happens, or when that happens, don't want to get too ahead of myself, but if that happens, if that does happen, let's not just completely ignore and forget the complete train wreck that was last night's display in Turkey. Another false start, another stutter, another case of inconsistency. The squad needs to take a look at themselves. The manager needs to take a look at himself. And the board needs to take a long, hard look at themselves for allowing this to continue for as long as what it has done. A complete and utter disaster. A complete and utter disaster. Big up to each and every single one of you that's here with us this morning. Slap a like on the video if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated from each and every single one of you. Can't thank you enough for the love and support on the channel as always. I hope we're all doing well this morning. Even the Liverpool fans that are probably joining me, I hope we're all doing very well this morning despite another poor performance from our team last night. Maybe if you're a Tottenham fan, like I say, maybe you need to be checked on a little bit more than us this morning. And then to make matters worse, the two teams play each other on Sunday. What an absolute train wreck of a game that's going to be. I mean, I don't even know how Sunday's game is going to go. Like, Liverpool should win that game, but then again, Liverpool should have won a lot of games this season that we haven't. So Tottenham might actually stand a good chance of maybe winning that game. Maybe Igor Tudor picks up his first victory as Tottenham manager in that game. I don't know. But at the same time, in saying all of that, big up to every single one of you. Like I say, slap a like on the video, subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always probably greatly appreciated. And of course, get involved in the chat, whether you're just stopping in to say hi, whether you're telling me a little bit about yourself, where you're watching from today, what is going on in your life, and all of that stuff. Really would be appreciated from each and every single one of you as we build this community. And of course, the main bulk of this whole video, this whole live stream, to talk football. Whether you want to talk about last night's Champions League action, whether you want to talk about Spurs' dreadful night, even somehow worse than our night, which was an incredible thing to really top, despite the fact that we played earlier in the night, of course. When you want to talk about that, we can do. When you want to talk about any of the other action in the Champions League last night, Newcastle, almost a perfect night for them, only to really shoot themselves in the foot with the final kick of the game. Or whether you want to talk about Liverpool, of course, that is going to be the main bulk of today's video, talking Liverpool. We're talking the absolute train wreck that was Liverpool's disaster class against Galatasaray. A case of deja vu for Arne Slot's men as we lose again in Turkey. And it could have been a whole lot worse, of course, as we'll get into with the whole controversy surrounding what happened last night. Could have been a lot better as well, of course, but both teams got away with one a little bit throughout that game. Big up Dean, who's already in the building. Lovely to have you here, bro. Glad that you're here with us. He says, morning, Fletch. Another poor performance by us really sums up our season. Exactly. The inconsistency, the stop-start nature of our campaign really came to the forefront again last night. You are 100% correct. It really did sum up our season. I thought the opening 5 minutes also really summed up our season. We had a couple of decent half opportunities. Everything seemed like Liverpool were in control of the game. Galatasaray allowed us to have a bit of the ball. And then from out of nowhere, a sucker punch. A sucker punch in terms of they scored. They opened the scoring. They broke the deadlock. We had a couple of half opportunities, and then they have one real opportunity, and they take it. Thought that was really a summation of our season. And then the game overall was then a summation of our season because it was lackluster. We had a couple of good opportunities that we didn't take. Okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. Liverpool started really well on the front foot, but Galatasaray's goal scored, and we really couldn't get back into it. No, we couldn't. Exactly. I mean, I said it without even reading that second comment, that we actually created a couple of decent half opportunities to begin the game with. Looked like it was going to be lively, looked like it was going to be something different. Slot actually dropped Gakpo for this game. That's how incredible that's how incredible it was that Slot actually dropped his golden boy for this game, which I found to be incredible. I thought maybe Gakpo's injured because that's the only reason why Slot would probably drop him. But he dropped him. He brought him on later in the game, of course. But it just wasn't to be. It just wasn't to be last night. And now we've got, okay, it's only a 1-goal deficit to claw back at Anfield, of all places, in front of what is going to be 100% Liverpool fans. No Galatasaray fans allowed in the building on that night. But that's still not a foregone conclusion, especially with the way that Liverpool's season's gone. And you never know. Galatasaray might just go there. They may stink the place up for 90-odd minutes or for 89 minutes. And then, as we've seen, one attack can get them 1 goal, and that is all they're going to need on the night. Well, they're not even going to need 1 goal, but 1 goal could really kill the tie off at any given moment. So you never know. Very disappointed, really. We've been saying this a lot this season. We absolutely have. That is 100% correct. The only positive, really, that I can take from the game is that it was only 1-0. Exactly. And we will come on to the controversy a little bit later because it really should have been 2-0. I honestly can't believe. Well, we'll talk about it now, actually. I can't believe it was only 1-0. It should have been 2-0 on the night. You never know. Maybe the ripple effect may have also completely ruled out the opportunity that Liverpool had to equalise later on in the game from a mixture of Konate, Van Dijk, and whoever else got in the way of that absolute messy, chaotic goal. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand how that's offside. I really don't understand how that's offside. I was really baffled and struggling to understand how Galatasaray's second goal was offside. Because it wasn't. It wasn't offside. Galatasaray's second goal should have been allowed to stand. We got away with murder. With absolute murder. In that particular moment. Like, Konate had, I mean, I don't wish to single people out, but Konate had an absolute dreadful game, along with Florian Wirtz, along with Mo Salah, along with Ekatike, along with anybody. Like, the only person who I think had a decent enough game was probably Mamadashvili in goal. I thought he was the only player that actually had a decent enough night to show for his efforts. Everybody was dreadful, but Konate, for whatever reason last night, he had his boots on the wrong feet. He had the wrong boots on in general. He's slipping and sliding all over the place. He's giving the ball away cheaply. And last night, that moment just capped off his game. Like, what? I don't know what he was doing. It's a poor back pass. Galatasaray are in. He's then making an absolute mess of his defensive duties. It was a train wreck of a performance from everybody last night. But in that moment, that was even more of a train wreck than ever. And like I say, I'm baffled. I really, really am baffled that we got away with that. I really am. I honestly can't believe that it was only 1-0. I can't believe they gave offside in that particular moment. I'm shocked. I really am shocked. Really am shocked. We could have collapsed completely like Spurs did last night, but we are still in this. But we need to show more ambition and cut the stupid mistakes out. Yeah, we do. But I look at this team, and no matter who we throw out there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we throw out there. We've seen it all season long. There's been no improvement in the overall performances of this team. There have been moments and glimpses where we've been good, or we've looked comfortable, we've looked competent, but nothing sustainable, nothing consistent. There's been nothing like that. And it doesn't matter, like I say, who you throw out there. It doesn't matter what goalkeeper you throw out there, Alisson or Mamadashvili. They still look vulnerable because they're not given enough protection. We have a defense that is all over the place at times, very much all over the place, shockingly bad sometimes with the organization. We have a midfield that lack discipline, leadership. They look like they're all trying to do their own thing. And by their own thing, it's something that they're not exactly comfortable of doing. Gravenberch was, again, another disaster from him last night. He drowned out there. He absolutely drowned out there from the likes of Torreira and Lamina running that midfield. He drowned. McAllister was not much better. Szoboszlai again trying to do it all on his own. Even by his standards last night, wasn't exactly a great performance from him either. It was dreadful. It was absolutely dreadful. A midfield that is so open, it gets ran through at ease, no matter what level of opposition we're against. Doesn't matter the level of opposition, doesn't matter what type of midfield they've got. Our midfield is so open for anyone and everyone to run through and just have an absolute breeze, a walk in the park of just doing whatever they like. Our midfield is that poor. And an attack that I don't understand how this is consistent. This is one of the big things that's consistent. And it's not even a good thing. How our attack can consistently make the same mistakes over and over again. How our attack can constantly make the wrong decisions over and over again is beyond me. And that's without saying, overall, this squad, the starting 11, whoever, cannot do anything from open play. I've mentioned all the stuff off the ball. Defense, open. Midfield, open. Lack of organisation, lack of discipline, lack of leadership. But on the ball, we're just as bad. We're just as bad on the ball as we are off the ball. There's no creativity. Our best opportunity last night of scoring a goal, other than set pieces, of course, was the Ekitike chance. And how did that come about? Because they gifted it to us. Their poor back pass allowed Ekitike in on goal. Now, remember what happened against Wolves in the Premier League game last week? How did our best opportunity of scoring in that game come about? When Mo Salah actually did go on and score. It was another poor back pass that allowed Salah in on goal. We don't play well on the ball, off the ball. We simply rely on two factors, potentially three factors in our games. Number one, we rely on set pieces. Number two, we rely on opposition mistakes, allowing us to potentially capitalize and maybe score a goal. And number three is very, very optional because it depends on whether or not a 17-year-old winger named Rio Engamoa is on the pitch or not. If he's on the pitch, give the ball to him and hope something happens. Where was he last night? Oh, stuck on the bench. Why was he stuck on the bench? Our best player, or one of our best players from Friday night, the victory against Wolves in the FA Cup. Where was he last night? On the bench. Why was he on the bench? Because as I've been saying all season long, there is no incentive to play well in this team because no matter what happens, you constantly and consistently don't get rewarded or punished for whatever display you put on that pitch. Like I say, Gakpo's had stinker after stinker after stinker, and he's been allowed to play consistently. Last night was an actual shock. He didn't actually play last night. That was an absolute shock. I think everybody was probably shocked not to read Gakpo's name on the team sheet last night. That was a very, very big shock from Arne Slot. Fair play. But to not even give Rio Engamoa any minutes last night. Are you joking me? A shocking display. An absolute shocking display. We need to make the home advantage count with no supporters for Galatasaray in the return leg. We absolutely do. If Galatasaray score at Anfield, it could become tricky. Big up Marco's in the building. Lovely to have you here, bro. Hope you're doing well. Your boys rescued it very late last night, didn't you? I'm sure you'll get the job done at the Camp Nou, but didn't have it all your own way last night. Got a little bit fortunate in the end. I mean, it was a Stonewall penalty. No, don't get me wrong, Stonewall penalty, but a little bit fortunate in terms of Newcastle could not take their chances last night. But big up to you, bro. And yeah, you are 100% right. As we saw last night, Galatasaray only need one opportunity and they can take it. They can take that opportunity. We've seen it time and time again this season. No matter what level of opposition Liverpool have played, that can be the case as well. If they score early on at Anfield, even with 100% crowd, even with there still being plenty of time in the game, if they score early, that could raise some nerves. The later they score as well will definitely raise some nerves. And then it could get a bit awkward. Just to put it mildly, bit awkward. But you are 100% correct. Losing twice to them 1-0 is not an incident anymore. You're 100% correct. Watched the entire game. The golfing quality was obvious. Liverpool have much better players, yet every time Galatasaray go forward to get a corner, they looked very dangerous. Liverpool need to sort it out. It was an open game last night. It was very much an open game last night. The problem is, it doesn't matter what Liverpool play. It doesn't matter who Liverpool play. It doesn't matter how this opposition is set up. Liverpool are not cut out to face anybody right now. We struggle against low blocks. We struggle against high press. We struggle against low intensity, high intensity. We struggle against set pieces. We struggle against long ball, short ball. It doesn't matter what the opposition set up like. Liverpool struggle. Liverpool struggle against every team. The only ones that we kind of don't struggle as much against are the teams that want to play out from the back. They're the kind of teams that we kind of do better against. But even then, it's not by much. We may make more of a game of it. We may look a little better than what we do in most other games. But we don't really do much else in those types of situations. We find whatever the opposition is to just be a tricky situation. We make it difficult for ourselves. And like I say, it doesn't matter what team you throw out there, Liverpool make it tricky. It doesn't matter what the defense is like. It's all over the place. It lacks organisation. It doesn't matter what the midfield looks like. It lacks leadership and organisation and discipline. And it doesn't matter what the attack is looking like. It lacks a cutting edge. It lacks being decisive. It lacks creativity. Doesn't matter. Our manager has spent all season long with these same level of performances and nothing's improved. And if nothing's improved, then as much as maybe you could say last night is not so much on the manager, but on the poor performances of the players, and 100% they do deserve intense amounts of criticism for how they've played. I'm sorry, but I look at the manager and I go, you're not inspiring anything here. You're not doing anything differently than what you're doing in previous games. It was a deja vu moment in this game specifically, considering we lost to Galatasaray, as you mentioned, Marco, earlier on in the season. You're not doing anything to change it. You have players there on your bench to change this game, and you're not doing that. You seemingly decided to outcast Curtis Jones. He's done something to you that you don't like, so you've decided to take it out on him personally, because the only time he actually got into the team was as a last-minute change for an injured Florian Wirtz in the warm-up to the game, a couple of weeks ago. Was it the Forest game? I feel like, yeah, it was the Forest game, wasn't it? Yeah, you've got Rio and Gamora on the bench, who every single time he makes an appearance, whether it is for 10 seconds or whether it's for 10 minutes, always puts in an absolute shift, does more than what Cody Gakpo and what Mohamed Salah have done game in, game out. But yet, for whatever reason, you still don't trust him to start games, which I don't I really, really don't understand. Have a bit of trust. You've got Federico Chiesa who puts in 120% effort every single game. You don't trust him either. I don't understand why. It's insanity at this point. It is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Try something different. And if it doesn't work, at least you can't say you've not tried. It's bizarre to me. It's absolutely bizarre. We can still do this, but it really depends on Liverpool and if they are prepared to battle for it 100%. Big up Kinski. Yeah. I feel sorry for the guy. I feel sorry for the guy. It was so Loris Karius. I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for him. I also feel sorry. I also kind of put the blame more so on the manager for throwing him in the deep end. That Igor Tudor, man. Oh my God. The management style of him. Unbelievable. Throws him on. Just puts him out there. Allegedly. Didn't really explain why he put him out there. He takes him out of the cold with him and obviously Thomas Frank trusting Vicario for the vast majority of the season. Puts him out there out of the cold into a Champions League cauldron like that at the Wanda in Spain, already hostile, already awkward. Just takes him out of the cold, puts him in the firing line, in goal. And then after 15 or so minutes, after he's made two horrendous errors, okay, they are horrendous errors, but puts him out there. And then decides to take him off. And when he takes him off, doesn't even acknowledge him. Doesn't even acknowledge him in taking him off. I couldn't believe that. Like, if that's Jurgen Klopp and he had to make that decision, he's probably giving him a massive hug. He's probably saying, look, tonight wasn't your night. Don't worry about it. We move on. Something along those lines. But, oh my God, he did not acknowledge anyone last night. And the commentators on TNT had to mention that when Jed Spence came off with like 5 or 10 minutes to go or whatever it was, he had to personally go to the manager himself in order to get a handshake or to get some sort of acknowledgement of him leaving the pitch. This Igor Tudor guy, this was a disaster waiting to happen, and yet it's only got worse. And here's the crazy thing about it. The crazy thing about it, I don't necessarily blame Igor Tudor either. Like, if this was the guy that Tottenham appointed, if this was the guy that obviously, as he became a manager, this is his style, this is his approach, this is who he is and stuff, coming into a very delicate, very fragile situation like Spurs, this was not the right approach. So I don't necessarily blame Igor Tudor for having this level of approach. I blame Tottenham for gross negligence in being absolute morons of the highest order to sack Thomas Frank, not have a contingency plan in the making or with the wheels in motion, and going with, oh, this guy will do. It's almost as worse as having a manager that tries the same thing over and over again, expecting different results and not getting different or consistent enough results. Shocking. Props to you, honestly, admitting that Galatasaray's goal was not offside. I'll be real with it. I'm not going to sit here and be deluded or you know, blind. I'm not going to sit here with rose tinted glasses and go, you know, it was definitely offside. There's nothing more to talk about here. It definitely should have been allowed to stand. I couldn't honestly see anything wrong with it. Okay, he goes and interferes with Andy Robertson, but Andy Robertson's nowhere near the ball. Konate's in control of the ball at that point. Konate is in control of the ball. Robertson's nowhere near him. Robertson's not going to get to the ball anyway. He is in an offside position, technically, the Galatasaray attacker. But, like I say, he's not interfering with play. He's not interfering with play. And as we have seen, I know it's obviously a different competition, and I know that obviously, I know it's obviously a different competition and stuff, but we've seen in the Premier League in recent weeks, goals have been given when players have been stood in front of goalkeepers from set pieces and stuff. There was one the other week with Liverpool. Joe Gomez was stood in a seemingly offside position in front of the goalkeeper for Virgil van Dijk's header in the game against West Ham. So we've seen it. We also saw it earlier on in the season when Atletico Madrid scored a goal against Liverpool where Llorente's strike goes behind a Atletico Madrid attacker who was stood in front of Alisson, blocking his view. That goal was allowed to stand. But all of a sudden, this goal, in which Konate is in full control of the ball and makes an absolute pig's ear of it, is not allowed to stand. I couldn't honestly believe what I was watching last night. It was an absolute shocking display from the referee, who then didn't cover himself in much glory later on, because that aside, if you are just going to continue as it is, why wasn't Konate/Van Dijk's goal allowed to stand either? It does come off the arm of Konate, but it's not like it's intentional. But it's not like it directly comes off his arm and into the back of the net. It's not like it was Alexis McAllister against Nottingham Forest, for example. This was sort of off the arm of Konate. It takes about 3 or 4 different ricochets off of different body parts of Liverpool, of Virgil van Dijk, and then like a couple of other Galatasaray players, and then ends up in the back of the net. I feel like that goal was a little bit hard done by as well. A little bit more subjective, I grant you. And I can understand a little bit more as to why that goal was disallowed. But at the same time, still, I think we have a case there where it should have been 1-1. Technically 2-1. Maybe not even 2-1 if that goal is allowed to stand for Galatasaray. Who knows? But yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange. Hi, brother. Hey, dude. How you doing, Nems? Hope you're good, bro. Lovely to have you here with us. Like I say, I hope you're doing good. I'm good, bro. I hope you're doing good as well, despite, obviously, Liverpool being Liverpool. Yeah, it's shocking. You have 2 different streams going, my comment. Yeah, I'm on... so StreamYard has both a vertical and a horizontal streaming thing. And I try both just in case, obviously, people are watching on their phones or whatever. So the comments will come through. I'm reading them, obviously, from StreamYard. So the comments will come through. I obviously just ramble. I do apologize. I'm not getting through the comments fast enough. I just ramble. And you should know that by now. I just ramble sometimes. I'm even rambling right now. But they will come through timestamp. So they will come through as you put them through on different times. So regardless of which stream you're watching on, the comments will come through if you are obviously deciding to comment. So big up to you, though. I would end the season now. Tell me about it, bro. Tell me about it. Been saying this for a long time. End the season. End the stream. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Basically, our season could be over next week. If we don't beat Galatasaray, our season's over. Because if we can't beat Galatasaray at home, at Anfield, in the Champions League, then we've got no chance of beating Manchester City in the FA Cup. Conveniently, by the way, we've not actually mentioned it yet, But what did I tell you? What did I tell you on Monday? I said we would get one of Chelsea or City, and Arsenal would get one of either Southampton or Port Vale. Look what happened. Arsenal got the easy draw. Liverpool got a tricky draw. Honestly, it was obvious that was going to happen. It was painfully obvious that was going to happen. It is what it is. You beat what's in front of you. I get that. But, yeah. We did not turn up at all yesterday at Newcastle. Yeah, you definitely got away with it, dude. You definitely got away with it. Like I said, I think you'll do well at the Camp Nou, but you might just need to adapt that high line a little bit. You might just need to drop that high line a few yards if you are to go and properly do it. I know you're going to be at home, and I know it's going to be awkward for Newcastle, but at the same time, drop that high line a little bit. I know he won't do it because it's Hansi Flick, and it is what it is. But drop that high line a little bit, and you'll be fine. But yeah, it was just poor finishing from Newcastle last night. That was their Achilles heel. We have been poor this season. That is an understatement, bro. We have definitely been dreadful this season. Unbelievable. Slot admitted that the whistling at Galatasaray Stadium rattles the players, and some players would rather not have the ball. Oh my. These are professional footballers. These are footballers that have achieved great things for the most part. One or two of them, maybe not. You can maybe look at Ekatike, maybe. Mamardashvili, maybe. As not achieving a lot in the game. But Frimpong is a Bundesliga winner. He's also a domestic cup winner. And in the same season, by the way. And invincible as well. He also got to the final of a Europa League. Konate is a Premier League winner. Van Dijk is a multiple-time top-tier defender who has won top-tier trophies. He's won the FA Cup. He's won 2 Carabao Cups. He's won a couple of Premier Leagues. He's won a Champions League. Kerkez, okay. You can understand why Kerkez hasn't done as much in the game so far. Gravenberch is a Premier League winner. McAllister is a Premier League winner and a World Cup winner, by the way. McAllister is a World Cup winner. Salah, done everything in the game. Szoboszlai, Premier League winner. Carabao Cup winner. Wirtz, same as Frimpong. These players are experienced enough to handle being whistled at or booed at. This guy's excuses are running extremely thin. This is not anything to do with Galatasaray either, considering that this level of performance has been the only thing that has been consistent about an inconsistent season. These level of performances have been dreadful, they've been pathetic, and they have constantly happened. This is not just turning up in Turkey and getting booed at a little bit or getting whistled at. This was a dreadful performance in which we saw the likes of Mario Lemina and Lucas Torreira dominate the midfield, whilst Victor Osimhen had Ibrahima Konate on toast. The excuses are wearing... They're not even there anymore. They're not even wearing thin. They're just not there anymore. It's just absolutely dreadful from this head coach. Big up Reluctant Gamer. Lovely to have you here, bro. Feel like you haven't been here for a while, but big up to you, bro. Always welcome to see you, my bro. Hope you're doing well. Your boys, unfortunate last night. Like I say, did really well for about 93 of the 94 minutes or whatever it was. Just let yourself down in that last second. But no, decent performance nonetheless. And, you know, you stand a good chance of beating Barcelona at the Nou Camp. But like I say, it's gonna be a tough old game. It's gonna be a real tough old game. That Newcastle nearly got the win. We played way better than what you did. You were deserving of that goal. When that goal went in, I was like, yeah, that is very much deserved. But then you just couldn't hold on to that 1-goal lead. You just couldn't hold on to that 1-goal lead. So it was a little bit unfortunate. And especially because, Atletico are there for the taking. So there is a good opportunity for you to make it into the semi-finals. Because let's face it, we're discounting Tottenham, right? When there's absolutely no way Tottenham are getting through, right? We're saying that? Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought so. But yeah, you got a good opportunity there now. You got a good opportunity. But I think both you and Barcelona have. And I'm backing one of you two to hopefully make it to the final because I can't be having Arsenal in that final. Can't have Arsenal win it this year, surely. Tudor lost all 4 games with Spurs he's been in charge of. And guess who's coming up next? Liverpool on Sunday. Guess who's coming up next? Liverpool on Sunday. Jesus Christ. You know what? If we lose on Sunday, forget losing to Galatasaray twice in one season. Forget getting absolutely battered and played off the park by Sean Dyche's Nottingham Forest. Forget being slaughtered by PSV. Forget being beaten by Manchester United or Chelsea or whoever else we've lost to this season, which is a number of teams. Forget getting played off the park by Crystal Palace. Forget getting beat by Bournemouth in the last minute of the game. Forget getting beat by bottom of the table Wolverhampton Wanderers. If we get beat by Spurs on Sunday, considering the injury issues they're going through, considering how down in the mud they are, considering that they've not won a game in the entirety of 2026 so far, that will be the worst defeat that we have suffered all season. That will be the worst defeat that we've suffered all season. Against Spurs. Relegation threatened Spurs. If we don't win on Sunday, oh my God. Oh my God. It's Spurs, lol. Yeah, I mean, it is. I wouldn't like to speak too soon on that, considering what's coming up on Sunday. I'm really not too hopeful now for the Spurs game, even though Spurs are struggling and have no confidence Liverpool will struggle. The only thing that I think will put us in good stead is that Spurs make as many bad mistakes as what we do. I mean, if Spurs play like they did last night with Van der Ven falling over and their goalkeeper literally passing it to Alvarez to have the easiest goal he'll ever score in his life, we will win because we thrive on capitalizing on opposition mistakes. Van der Ven won't actually be there for the game on Sunday, in all fairness, but yeah. If they do that, we might actually stand a chance of winning on Sunday. Otherwise, it is going to be an absolute train wreck of a game. It's going to be a disaster class of a game. It is going to be less El Clasico and more El Crapico. It's going to be a disaster. Everything got better for Arsenal once Vinay left, and everything went sideways Spurs when Vinay comes in. It must be an inside job, bro. It must be an inside job from Vinay. It must be an inside job. Must be. Good to hear. I'm glad you're doing well, bro. I'm glad you're all good. I think Liverpool's goal was rightly disallowed. No problems there. Intentional or not, was clear handball right before the goal. I don't know whether it was like clear handball. It's not like he intended to hit it with his arm. He's gone in for the challenge, and it's sort of bounced off of his arm. It's not like he's intentionally gone to hit it with his arm. Like I say, if the ball had directly gone into the back of the net from his arm, then 100% disallow it. I understand that. But with the way that obviously it's hit his arm and then bounced off of a couple of other players, ricochets off of a couple of other players, and then ends up in the back of the net. I don't know. I don't know whether or not, it was deserving of being ruled out. I'm a little bit 50-50 on it, in all honesty. I could see why it would have been given. I can also see why it would have been ruled out. On this particular one, it gets ruled out. It's one of those things, but I'm sure that, again, it's a subjective thing, because I'm sure that if this was to happen 10 times a season, probably 8 get given as goals. 2 of them are allowed to stand as 8 are probably not given, and 2 are probably allowed to stand as goals. So I think it's a little bit more subjective. I understand why it wasn't given. I wouldn't have even. Here's a weird thing. I wouldn't have even liked the fact that we would have got away with a point in that game purely based off of an extremely sloppy, extremely scrappy goal. I wouldn't have liked that. Didn't deserve it. And as proven, it wasn't even given anyway. Barcelona is still knocking Newcastle out. Yeah, I think you might be right. I think you might be right there. It's oh god. I mean, I don't know. Like I say, I think Newcastle have the capabilities of maybe pulling off a bit of an upset, I guess, in a lot of people's eyes by knocking out Barcelona. Like I say, if Barcelona don't somewhat adapt their high line a little bit, there is the potential that with the likes of Anthony Gordon, and well, there's Elanga as well, who would thrive in that environment as well. Elanga's not a great player. I've never rated Anthony Elanga as a great player, but I think in certain situations he's effective. And if Barcelona play a high line and you use Elanga's pace to his advantage and your advantage, then of course he can be very effective. And so with Gordon's pace on one side, Elanga's pace on the other, you could definitely see that they have the tools of hurting Barcelona. They certainly have the tools of hurting Barcelona. It's just whether or not you can take your chances, and whether or not Barcelona can be neutralized at the other end. Easier said than done. I can see disaster striking next week. Batman? Why did I say Batman? Botman and Volta headers. Araujo, red card. Before you know it, we can be out of the Champions League again. I need you to fix up. Bro, because I think you've got the best chance of maybe knocking out Arsenal. I think you could go toe to toe with Arsenal and outscore them. Don't think you could probably neutralize them or whatever the case, but I think you can outscore Arsenal. I think if you go toe to toe with Arsenal, a bit like how Liverpool were in the early days of Jurgen Klopp, where we were just outscoring teams, I think you could do that. So I need you to fix up, because I have reservations over Atletico Madrid knocking out Arsenal. I have reservations over any of the other teams in that half of the draw, to be honest. Arsenal have got a very favourable run until potentially the semi-final, and even then, if certain things play out that way, could even be an easy route to the final. Tudor stopped playing 3 at the back and beat Atletico 4-1 at home and win on pens. Not even in FIFA is that realistic enough, bro. Not even, well, it's not even called FIFA anymore, is it? It's called EA Sports. Not even in EA Sports is that even realistic, bro. Not even in that. I don't get how you can play 3 at the back, be a defensive-minded manager, and yet be so open as what Spurs are. It's actually unbelievable. To be fair, extra time was well over when Barca got the pen and nothing happened during extra time to warrant extra time being added on. I thought it was like bang on. I thought it was like maybe a second or two after added time got played on. I don't remember what minute it was in. I can't remember. My memory's playing up now. I don't remember what minute. I thought it was like 4 minutes of added time, say, for example, just throwing it out there. And it was like 94 and 2 seconds or something that the penalty was given or something. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was like a minute or so after. I can't remember. But I thought it was something like that, which would be okay to warrant considering that Barcelona were on the attack. But yeah, I could be completely wrong. I don't remember. I don't remember what minute or what second or whatever it was in. Which game did you watch yesterday? Liverpool and Newcastle, I assume. So obviously I watched a Liverpool game because it was the early kickoff. So I managed to watch the entirety of that one. And then I had Tottenham Atletico on the big screen. And then I was watching on my laptop Newcastle Barcelona. So I had both. The only game I didn't watch last night was Bayern. And, you know, everyone knew how that game was going to turn out. And it turned out pretty damn well for Bayern. I mean, they're scary. Bayern are scary. They were absolutely insane last night by Munich. 6-1 in the end. I didn't even realize that Atalanta got a late consolation goal. But yeah, Bayern are scary. I thought it was still 6-0. Again, they could be like our last hope to stop Arsenal. And it needs to happen. Arsenal cannot win this competition. If they're already going to win the league, which I suspect they are, they cannot win this competition as well. They can't win this competition as well. They can't do any double, triple, or friggin' quadruple. They can't. They simply can't do it. They cannot do it. Playing with Elanga is like playing with 10 men. Eddie Howe doesn't realize it. I said in the summer when Anthony Elanga went to Newcastle, I was like, why are you paying this much money for Elanga? Why are you paying this much money for Elanga? I said that this guy is only good in certain situations. If you are against a team that plays a high line, fine, fair enough. He can be effective. He can be effective in terms of getting your team up the pitch, in terms of using his pace. He can be effective because it worked last season for Nottingham Forest. It worked last season for Elanga. Why? Because no one sits back against Nottingham Forest. You're Nottingham Forest. No one sits back against Nottingham Forest, which made them very, very effective on the counter-attack. It made Callum Hudson-Odoi on one side and Anthony Elanga on the other, very, very dangerous. Gibbs White pulling the strings, just had to put the ball down one of the channels for one of them wingers to run onto. It worked to perfection. Guess what? Not many teams choose to play a high line against Newcastle. There are a few, but there aren't that many. There aren't that many that are going to choose to play a high line against Newcastle. Anthony Elanga is average anyway. Let's be real about it. As a footballer, he looks very clunky and clumsy on the ball. His dribbling, his technique, it looks somewhat all over the place. It looks very, very ugly at times. It's just not that effective in that system, in that setup. If Elanga was to have gone to a Burnley, it might have worked a bit more. But not many teams not many teams play a high line against Newcastle. I said in the summer, you are paying a lot of money for a situational winger. And a lot of people were like, "Oh no, Elanga's great. Elanga's going to be a revelation at Newcastle. He's going to be great at Newcastle. He's going to be a wonder at Newcastle." He's not done anything to justify the price tag. He has got 1 goal and 2 assists to show in a total of 41 appearances for Newcastle this season. That is 25 league appearances with only 1 assist to show for it. That is 9 Champions League appearances with only 1 assist to show for it. And his only goal this season came in the Carabao Cup. And that was in the defeat to Manchester City, in which, of course, City ran out 5-1 winners across both legs in the semi-final. For a player who joined for a fee believed to be in the region of £55 million, considering for that amount of money, you could have got Mohamed Kudus, who would have been much better. Considering for that kind of money, you could have gone out and got a whole host of other wingers who ended up moving for a similar sort of fee. That would have been much better than Anthony Elanga. Newcastle settled on Elanga. I said to anyone and everyone that would listen, Elanga is average. Elanga is situational. Elanga will not work at Newcastle. And so far, I've been proven right. Yeah, it was 4 minutes added on, and the foul happened 4 minutes, 40 seconds in extra time. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there was any sort of... I don't remember if there was any sort of time wasting or any sort of moment that may have contributed to, at the very least, 40 seconds being played on. I don't know. I don't know. Either way, all I know is that it was a Stonewall penalty, and got a bit fortunate. But sometimes you need that bit of luck in these moments, in these situations, and Barcelona certainly got that last night. You'll take it back to the Nou Camp now. You've got a 1-1 draw to take back. I'm pretty sure you probably would have taken a draw to go back to the Nou Camp with, in all honesty. You didn't lose the game, so that's at least something. But yeah, you'll take it back to the Nou Camp. You'll probably get the job done there. But like I say, it won't be easy. Newcastle certainly have players that can cause you food for thought. They've certainly got players that can cause you food for thought when you go back there. Like I say, drop your defensive line a few yards, invite the pressure on a little bit, and hit them on the break. Play them at their own game a little bit. Newcastle's away record as well as poor as well. So, yeah, he'll be fine. Bayern scored 10 in their last 2 games without Kane. Like I say, absolute madness what Bayern are on right now. Absolute madness. Like I say, Michael Olise is phenomenal. Musiala's great. They've got a fantastic squad overall. Maybe, just maybe, they could be Champions League winners this season. Like I say, if Liverpool aren't going to do it, I certainly don't want Arsenal to. And I think they're probably the best ones that are positioned for that. Atalanta fans gave Bayern players applause and standing ovations as a sign of respect after the 6th goal. Imagine being beaten that bad. The home fans can even appreciate it. You'd never get that over here. Like, fair play to the Atalanta fans, to the ones that if and when they did that. But you'd never get that over here. Or you wouldn't at least get it in a large percentage anyway. A lot of fans. Do you think there were Spurs fans that were doing the same thing to Atletico last night? Nah. No. They were leaving. They were getting on the first flight back to London. If that's in their case last night. There's absolutely no way that at 5-1 or 5-2 that Tottenham fans were applauding Atletico. There was no way that was happening. But fair play if they did. Like I say, Bayern were just too strong last night, as you'd expect. They're safe. Let's face it, they're safely through to the quarterfinals. There's no way Atalanta are overturning that deficit. And they're going to be meeting one of Real Madrid or Man City in the quarterfinals. So, fair play to them. On Liverpool. I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Like I say, dreadful performance overall. Dreadful. I can't help. I've never seen a team so disorganized. I've never seen a team so lackluster. I've never seen a team that is Premier League champions coming into this season after spending 450 odd million in the summer. Looks so disjointed, looks so unorganized, looks so chaotic, in disarray. It's bizarre to me. It really is bizarre to me. What's your score prediction for Sunday? Oh, God. I'm going 2-1 Liverpool, I think. My Premier League predictions video will be out either tomorrow or Friday. So look out for that. As of right now, I'm going 2-1 to Liverpool, but who knows? By then, my prediction may have changed. I don't know. I think we win purely based off the fact that it's Tottenham, purely based off the fact that we normally beat Tottenham. I know that doesn't mean a lot this season, especially. But purely based off that logic, purely based off the fact that Richarlison always scores against us, but they always seem to be very unimportant goals. Given the fact that, Spurs are in the mud right now, even more so than us, somehow, which is impressive. I think we'll win. And now that I probably said all that, we're probably going to lose. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's say I'm just hoping for a better performance than what we saw last night. But it won't happen because we've been saying that all season long and it's just not happened. It's just not happened. Like, it's just not happened, has it? Every single time we go through this, we say, hopefully the next game is better. Hopefully the next performance is better. Hopefully the next result is better. And it very rarely is. Very, very rarely is. And even if we do beat Spurs on Sunday, the double-edged sword of it is that if we lose, I think it'll be our most embarrassing result of the season. Our most embarrassing result of the season, bar none. And we've had a lot of embarrassing results this season. And if we win, it's only Spurs. It's only Spurs. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's only Spurs. Like, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing here? We need that win after what's happened last time. The whole defeat to Wolves and everything. We cannot make it back-to-back league losses. But it's only Spurs if we win. And it's our most embarrassing defeat in the entirety of an embarrassing season if we lose. So, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, man? Oh, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. It's appalling. It really, really is appalling. Like I say, last night could have been a lot worse for us. Should have been a lot worse for us. We shouldn't be 1-0 down. We should be 2-0, 2-1 at least. But here we are going into the second leg at Anfield. 1-0 down against Galatasaray. Spurs coming up first. I'm bored. I'm bored of this season, man. I'm so bored. I don't know. I really, really don't know. I don't even know what to say. I'm bored of saying the same things over and over again. I'm bored of the manager doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. I'm bored of the same players letting us down. Because at the end of the day, these aren't bad players. We know they're good. We know they're good players. Regardless of whether they were here last season or not. We know they're good players. We've seen it over the years. We've seen them play good over the years, whether it's for Liverpool or whether it's for their respective other clubs. We know that Frimpong, very good player for Leverkusen. We know that Wirtz, very good player for Leverkusen across the many seasons he was there. Not just in the Bundesliga as well, but across Europe. Kirkez, best left back in the Premier League last season. Kanate, Van Dijk, Salah, McAllister, Gravenberch. The spine. Even Gakpo to an extent. The spine of Liverpool's performances last season. That led them to a Premier League title. And yet, with the way that Slot plays, it's not getting the best out of anyone. These players look uncomfortable. These players look awkward. And that's not exactly to say that this is all Slot's fault. Don't get me wrong. Slot's got many, 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 many faults. But the players have to take responsibility as well. And the players certainly messed up. And the players certainly need to take responsibility, accountability. and hold their hands up and say we weren't good enough, because they're not. But you'd have to be very brave to predict that a new manager couldn't get the best out of this team. You'd have to be very brave to predict that this is not on Slot whatsoever, and this is on the players. You'd have to be very brave to say that the players are not good enough, simple as that. This is not on Slot. This is on them. Everyone has to take responsibility because it's a team game, it's a team effort. But at the end of the day, we know how good these players are. We know how good these players can be. And yet, we see the same things happen over and over again. Why do we see the same things happen over and over again? Because the tactics don't change unless he needs a result. Unless Slot needs, and desperately at that needs a result, the tactics don't change. The performances don't improve. And we find ourselves bored, lifeless. Bored and lifeless. Our approach play is predictable. Our approach play is boring. Off the ball, we are a shambles. Off the ball, we are so unorganized. We are so careless. We lack leadership. We lack discipline. We lack direction. We have players looking over at our head coach, at our coaching staff, and they respond by throwing their arms up in the air because they don't have a plan of what to do. They've got no idea. They are out of their depth. And this should not come as a surprise to anyone, by the way, considering the fact that Arne Slot earlier on in the season was basically exploiting and exposing our weaknesses to the world in press conferences and interviews, whilst also saying and stating that he has no idea on how to fix it. That, to me, should have been the biggest sign that he is out of his depth. But apparently to this club and to this board, nope. Not the biggest sign whatsoever that the guy couldn't do his job. Not the biggest sign that this guy was out of his depth. No. Why would it be? Why would it be? The guy's out of his depth. Like I say, next week, our season could be over. This time next week, our season could be well and truly over. Manchester City just come along and hammer the final nail in the coffin in terms of no FA Cup. Not even like the FA Cup would save our season anyway. No disrespect to the FA Cup, but you don't spend 450 odd million as defending Premier League champions to only win an FA Cup and potentially scrape through Champions League football for next season, or maybe not, depending on how things go. But next week, our season could be over. The following week, I believe, if I've got my time, if I've got the timetable right in my head, the following week it could be really, really over in terms of FA Cup quarterfinal. It's not looking good. It's really, really not looking good. I don't know. I really, really don't know. Oh, I just want some excitement. Even if we're like not winning games, but we're playing well, I kind of want that back a little bit. Like, we're just not playing well. We're a team that relies on opposition players allowing us to go and have a shot on goal or to have a chance of scoring. Our best chance last night failed to Ekatike after it was just played through by one of the defenders, one of the Galatasaray defenders. That's our best chance. Wirtz had a good opportunity in the first half, to be fair, but he shot it straight at the goalkeeper. Should have done better. But I don't know. We love smashing new records. Yeah. For all the wrong reasons. Big up Shay's in the building. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Lovely to have you here with us. As Slots turn the corner and then turn back into it. Or Slots turn the corner in terms of he didn't play Gakpo last night. I'm not 100% sure what that means. I'd love you to elaborate more on that. But yeah, big up to you, bro. Hope you're doing well on this Wednesday morning. Oh, dear. It's painful. It actually is painful. Joking, that's what. Yeah, I mean, I remember. So in big up to you, bro. Hope you're doing well. So in response to your comment about what the fans have said lately, I did a match reaction after the West Ham game, and I basically said the result's great, fantastic result, 3 points in the bag, brilliant, right? I said that, but I said but if you look at the performance isn't good enough. The performance wasn't sustainable enough. The performance could not be carried on for the next however many games that you decide to play that way for, and you win every single game. I said, our midfield is so open that against a better team, we would get ran through more easily. Against a better team that could finish their chances, the game would have been different. I said that after West Ham. I also said that after Nottingham Forest, in which we played a very similar sort of way, that's two results on the bounce now that have been very good, but two performances on the bounce that have been pretty terrible. And after pointing that out, I got labeled as being negative. I had people in my chat say, what the hell is wrong with me? Why can't you just be positive? Why can't you just be happy that you got the result? And I'm like, because I've seen this play out so many times. I have seen this same song and dance over and over and over again this season, that this is not sustainable. This is not consistent enough to be something to be positive about. The performance, the results, fine. You can get a result every now and again by playing that way. But the performances eventually will catch up with you. And therefore, not sustainable, not consistent, not good enough. And surely enough, this past week has summed up our entire season. Or these past 2 weeks have summed up our entire season. We've played the same way in all of our games these past 2 weeks. Got away with it against West Ham. Fine. Did well in the FA Cup. Fine. Did well did well against West Ham. Well against Brighton in the FA Cup. Got the result against Forest. I've completely messed up the timeline here. Hang on. Third time lucky. Right. Did well against Brighton in the FA Cup. Got the result against Forest, but not the performance. Got the result against West Ham, but not the performance. Then it all started catching up with us because we played the same way against Wolves and we lost in the Premier League. Lost to bottom of the table Wolverhampton Wanderers. Abysmal. Played better against Wolves on Friday in the FA Cup. Got the win. But it wasn't exactly like, again, it was 5-star performance. Wasn't exactly like it was incredible. It was good finishing. 3 very well taken goals. And a case of maybe Wolves throwing the game a little bit because they have a bit more belief in the Premier League right now. Maybe that was the case as well. And then fast forward to Tuesday against Galatasaray. Again, performance dreadful, result horrible. And it's left us with a lot of work to do when we return to Anfield next week. The club have written the season off by keeping Slot. I don't know about you, bro. I don't know when you were slot out, but I've been slot out since Manchester United. I've been slot out since Manchester United. I've not bought into anything that has been somewhat positive about Slot or about the club this season. Even when we went through that run of underwhelming, unconvincing results, our unbeaten run from like the beginning of December to the middle of January, I never really bought into that. I always said like disaster's always around the corner, and it was proven by the way that we lost to Bournemouth. I've always said like I don't buy into it. I've always had the hope that things could turn around. I always had the hope that maybe he could prove me wrong, because at the end of the day, I want to be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong. With what I've been saying all season. I want Slot to be able to say that he proved me wrong and be like, I proved a lot of Liverpool fans wrong. I was the best man for the job, and I've eventually managed to turn it round. I want that to happen. But as the season's gone on, it's proven that things aren't improving. Things aren't getting any better. Things are remaining the same. And I'm sick and I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. So I have to kind of agree with you on this one. I feel like the club, out of blind loyalty, have stuck with him because he won them the Premier League last season. Out of pure blind loyalty, that is why this club have kept him. Because it's not based on who we are or what we are, which a lot of fans seem to think is the case. A lot of fans seem to think like Liverpool are this club that has never sacked managers when the going got tough. They've always given their managers a chance. We don't just sack managers by hook or by crook. We give them an opportunity to prove themselves. We stand by them. That's not who we are. Well, it's also not who we are to be as poor as what we are, to look as bad as what we are, and to lose consistently and constantly to these types of teams. We didn't win a Premier League title and spend 450 odd million to be worse than Galatasaray, or to be on the same playing field as like a Forest, or, with all due respect, right now, the likes of Newcastle or Villa or United, even considering where they have been this past decade. It's not what we're about. And this whole we don't sack managers thing is also BS, because what did we do with Brendan Rodgers when the going got tough? We sacked him. Roy Hodgson only lasted about 6 months. We sacked him. Not even a Carabao Cup could save Dalglish. Benitez, final season was a disaster. Sacked him. It's just mind-boggling that Liverpool fans now seem to only really remember the Jurgen Klopp era and nothing else. Because there were times where we stuck by Klopp when things weren't going great. The season after we won the league was our worst. Was at that point our worst season. We weren't great that season, of course not. There were factors as to why we weren't great. We had a terrible run of luck in which no centre-back could be fit for longer than a couple of months. Still managed to finish third. But it wasn't through playing poorly. And even the couple of seasons after we went for the quad, that season, after we won the quad, after we were going for the quad, not won it, but we were going for it. We were 2 games away from winning the quad. That season where, after that, where we completely fell off. Again, it wasn't through a lack of effort. It wasn't through a lack of trying. It wasn't through a lack of players not believing in Klopp anymore, or, players dropping performances at will. It was just purely because our midfield fell off. It was purely because our players just couldn't continue anymore. Our midfield, their legs had gone. Fabinho and Henderson's legs had gone. Some players go a bit stale. And we had a striker who, as lively and as dangerous as what he was, unfortunately, just couldn't hit the back of the net consistent enough. Again, that season again is not through a lack of effort. It's just a lack of clarity in terms of what we were facing that season. A lack of understanding. What's the word I'm looking for here? A lack of awareness. We'll go with awareness. A lack of awareness as to how our squad was going to be managed in that season to combat the level of intensity of the previous year. It wasn't like they weren't playing for the manager anymore. They just physically couldn't. This looks like a team that just doesn't want to play for the manager anymore because they look confused. They look like they're uncomfortable. They look like they're doing stuff that they don't really know what they're doing. That's the vibe I'm getting anyway. Maybe it's different for you guys, and maybe you guys see it a little differently than what I am. But that's the way that I personally see it, and that's what the comparisons I draw it to. It's been like this all season. It really has. I've been slot out since around November. So when did we play? We played United in October, didn't we? So yeah. So we're about a month apart. We're about a month apart on what we did. I mean, it doesn't really matter if or when. I mean, I would like to know if there are still any slot inners out there. I would like to know if there are people that still want Arnie's slot at this football club. And if so, I'd like to know why that is. I'd like to know why that is. I'm sure there are a few out there that are still in that camp, but I'd like to know why. Again, not to ridicule or mock. You're entirely welcome to your opinion. I would just like to know why people would want Arnie Slot in. And of course, I'm not talking about rival fans. I know rival fans would love Arnie Slot to sign a lifetime contract with the club. I get that. But I'm talking, obviously, Liverpool fans. I'm talking, why would Liverpool fans want this guy to remain at the club? I'm sure there are one or two out there at the very least. Do you reckon if Spurs get relegated, they will come straight back up after one season, or will they stay in the Championship for a while? A lot of Premier League teams that go down, you would give them a lot of credit for getting straight back up again the following year. You give them a lot of you basically put a lot of money on it. If you had to be a betting man about it, you'd put a lot of money on them coming back up, wouldn't you? And in the case of Tottenham, you wouldn't bet on it. You wouldn't bet on it. You just simply wouldn't. It's Tottenham. Why would you bet on Tottenham? Tottenham is like the most insecure thing in the history of football to bet on. You wouldn't bet on it. The only saving grace for Tottenham next season is that they obviously stand a bit more of a chance, considering that the Championship are extending their playoff places from 6 to 8. Oh, sorry, from 4 to 6, from the top 6 to the top 8. But top 2 get automatic, and the playoff places are from 3rd right the way down to 8th. So that's the only saving grace for Spurs if they are to go down. There is more of an opportunity to potentially come straight back up again to the Premier League for the following season afterwards. Do I expect them to get there? It's Spurs. It's Spurs. I've got no idea. A lot of teams that bounce straight back down from the Premier League to the Championship to going back up again, you'd give the benefit of the doubt to. Burnley, for example, classic yo-yoers. Up and down, up and down, up and down. You'd give them a good opportunity next season to come straight back up again. I give Burnley more of an opportunity to come back up than Spurs. Let's put it that way. Norwich, for a few seasons, did the exact same thing. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. West Brom have done it before. There have been a few teams like that. Eventually, those teams either somewhat make it into the Premier League, or they fall off in the Championship and are floundering around, barely making it above the relegation zone. In the case of Spurs, I don't know. I really, really don't know. Because like I say, I could see them coming back up for the following season. It's definitely possible. But it's not a sure thing. It's not a sure thing. And like I say, I would back Burnley to be more of a side ready to come straight back up next season than what Spurs are. I don't even know what that Spurs team is going to look like next season. I don't even know who their manager is going to be next season. Van der Ven, is he going to still be there? Probably not. Christian Romero, will he still be there? Probably not. Solanke, probably not. Maddison, Kulusevski, Pape Sarr, Porro, Jed Spence. I don't know who's going to be there and who's not going to be there. Spurs could have their team absolutely ran through because there might not be a lot of gems there in that Spurs team. There's one or two. I would take Van der Ven at Liverpool. I definitely would take Van der Ven at Liverpool. I'd also look at potentially Mohamed Kudus as well. I think Mohamed Kudus could do his job. Potentially. Maybe not massively, but potentially. And there's probably, one or two other players that maybe you could consider. But I think a lot of the Premier League clubs would take a lot of them players. I really do think that the likes of Brighton, the likes of Crystal Palace, the likes of an Everton especially, or a Brentford, would look at Spurs and go, there might be a couple of decent players there that we could maybe take. It could be a very busy summer for Spurs, and maybe not necessarily for all the good reasons. Like I say, there are a few players there that I think a lot of Premier League clubs will be looking at. We shall see. Did you watch the penalty shootout between West Ham and Brentford with the Panenka? I didn't watch the game on Monday night. I did other stuff. I watched the draw. And then I went and did some other stuff. But I didn't watch it. I just knew that West Ham obviously got through, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, in all honesty. I thought Brentford would have got through, but that is the cup. This we don't sack managers, the Liverpool way stuff is just pure arrogance. Like I say, bro, it really is. It's people living through the Jurgen Klopp era and thinking this defines everything to do with Liverpool. It defined a certain era, but it didn't define everything to do with Liverpool. When the going got tough under Klopp, we kept him. Why? Because he had plenty of credit in the bank. This manager doesn't have as much credit in the bank as what Klopp does. And not only that, but Klopp never took us backwards. Klopp always did the same. Klopp always adapted in the end. Like, he may have tried the same things over and over again, but he always adapted in the end. This manager doesn't adapt that we've got right now. This manager sees that we're playing poor. This manager sees that we've got injury issues, or this manager sees that we've got problems with our team further afield. We can barely string 3 passes together unless they are between our centre-backs and goalkeeper. And yet, he doesn't adapt. And the only time this manager does adapt is when he's so desperate to get a win that might save his job, that he decides, right, as a last resort, we're going to play to these players' strengths. That's when he changes things up. Why are Galatasaray fans banned again from the away game? Shame, would have made for a great atmosphere. I think some of their fans behaved inappropriately against Juventus in the playoff game in the Champions League. So UEFA have banned them from attending their next Champions League away game, which is against us. So I think that's the reason why. If I am Koeman, I am not taking Van der Ven to the World Cup. No, you know what the case is with Van der Ven? The case with Van der Ven is that although it is very unprofessional for his head to completely go, the case with Van der Ven is that I think he's just done. I think he's a great player, but I think he's just done at that football club. I think he's just over it. And that's why he's like, you know what, my reputation of the past 18 months or so is enough to get me a move away from Spurs. I'm downing tools here a little bit. I don't necessarily like that from a player, but at the same time, I think that if he was to go to a better club tomorrow, let's say the transfer window randomly open for a day tomorrow, right? If Van de Ven was to go tomorrow to a City, to a Liverpool, Real Madrid, Arsenal even, I know that would be crazy, but let's just throw it out there as hypothetical as some of the teams. You'd see a better Van de Ven. You would see a better Van de Ven. You'd see a much more competent, a much more comfortable Van de Ven than what you're seeing right now. The fact we played Spurs in the Champions League final is madness. I often think, is there a parallel world in which Liverpool lost that Champions League final and went down the same route that Tottenham are going down right now? It's an interesting thought that if, like, I know to get like nerdy and sci-fi, but let's say like the multiverse existed, right? Let's say the multiverse exists. Is there a universe in which Liverpool lose that Champions League final and go down the route of Spurs? Because if you think about it, that was obviously the year before we won the title. That was the year that obviously we won the Champions League. We came close to winning the Premier League. We were just a step behind Man City all the way, pretty much. If we'd have lost that Champions League final, would we have gone downhill? Because I think James Milner spoke about it before, that we were so close to winning things. We were so close to getting over that finish line to being successful, that if we hadn't have won that Champions League, things might have turned out very differently. I always wonder whether or not that things would have been different, because that seemingly was the turning point for Jurgen Klopp. Obviously the year before we got to the final when we lost, if we'd have lost 2 finals in a row, and especially one being to, of all teams, Tottenham, would things have potentially turned out very differently? Would we have still gone on to win the league the following season? Would we have fallen off big time? Would we have gone down Tottenham's route right now? I'm intrigued to find out. Luckily, we live in the good timeline where we had success in the Champions League. We had success in the Premier League. And, of course, we had an incredible season a few years later of almost pulling off the phenomenal, the historical, the quadruple. But it just wasn't to be. Championship of 46 games is brutal, physical. They might struggle. Yeah, a lot of people think that Premier League teams go through a lot, but Championship games are just as intense. It's a very difficult league. I like the Championship in terms of its competitive nature, in terms of the somewhat unpredictability about it. I like the Championship. Wrexham was so unlucky against Chelsea at home with VAR. They are doing great things. What a team spirit they have. Yeah, could you imagine if they come up this season? That's like, I don't even remember how many promotions that is in a row. How many promotions would that be in a row? Like 3, 4? Something like that? I don't know. If they came up next season, I mean, it would be massive for the Premier League. It would be massive for them. It would be incredible. They're doing really well. Like, it's not so much like a fairy tale anymore. Not necessarily anyway, considering, the backing and the wealth and stuff. But it's still an incredible story to think that a few years ago, where they were to where they are now. When does Kulusevski return? Big up, bro. Hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you here with us. I don't even know. When he returns, to be quite honest with you. Don't even know. Van de Ven was Bambi on ice. Also yesterday, he has so many howlers and red cards in him. suspended for Liverpool game 2, yet they still hype him. I still think he's a good player. Like, he has his moments. Don't get me wrong. He has his moments, but every defender has their moments, right? And not only that as well, but like I say, I think with better coaching, better players around him, I think he would do a good job. I just think he's grown stale at Spurs. I think it's a case of he's grown stale. He's not happy there. I think once you take that out of him and you put him in an environment in which he's going to be happy and he's going to thrive, I think you'll get a better version of Van der Ven than what you're getting right now. And I think you'll get a version of Van der Ven that was showing the potential and signs when he first came to Spurs. Kinski gives Karius vibes. Yeah, we mentioned that earlier on in the stream. Yeah, I've never seen a worse goalkeeping performance in the Champions League since that, I don't think. Allegedly, Atletico made the pitch super wet on purpose, and they all played with longer studs, but still legal sized, like 6 or 7 other players slipped too. If you're doing the 6 or 7 meme there, then nope. Even so, like, wouldn't you after the first 5 or 10 minutes work that out? Like, aren't you a professional footballer? Like, aren't you meant to work that stuff out after about 5 to 10 minutes? Wouldn't you after 5 or 10 minutes go, all right, pitch is kind of wet, get me some longer studs? They should be prepared for that stuff, right? The Tottenham players, they should be prepared for that kind of stuff. Will Liverpool just sell tickets at the away end to the home fans now? I'm not necessarily sure how it works. They probably should, right? I don't know how it works. I'm not 100% sure how it would work, to be honest. You'd imagine so, because unless obviously Galatasaray are forced to pay however much tickets they were allocated, unless they're forced to pay that amount of money, then Liverpool are kind of making a loss, right? I don't know how it works. At the World Cup, if the games are like 2 or 3 a.m., I will stay awake. If they are at 6 or 7 a.m., there's that meme again. I will set the alarm clock. But if they are at like 4 or 5 a.m., I won't watch it. But East Coast games will be. West Coast. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work, the scheduling. I don't know how the scheduling is going to work, but it is going to be a hectic month. If obviously over in Europe, it is going to be, like you say, 2, 3 a.m., 4 or 5 a.m., whatever the case may be, where the games are kicking off. So I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be an interesting World Cup, to say the least. But yeah, I'm very much intrigued by it. We wouldn't have gone down the Spurs route, but would have destroyed us completely. Like I say, there is a case for that. I don't know. Like I say, if the multiverse exists, then all possibilities are real, right? So there could have been a case in which we lost that final, but still went on to win the league the following year. There's probably a case in which we actually do follow the Spurs route of going down, or, you know, Pochettino stays another few years and Spurs really back him and they go on to be as successful as what we were or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about that. Football is often decided in those moments, and whether it's in a year's time, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, everything has seemingly a knock-on effect. So enjoy it all while it lasts. Wrexham owners doing all this by sticking exactly to the financial fair play rules with buying, selling, salaries and everything. They are really doing a good and clean job. it seemingly is the case. Seemingly is the case. It all seems like it is done in that way. It's still not quite the fairy tale that they perceive it to be in terms of, when I think of a fairy tale, I like to think of teams that have kind of done it from scratch, done it from pretty much nothing, not necessarily lottery winners. So it's not quite the fairy tale in terms of that aspect. But considering, like I said before, where they've come from to where they are now, it's pretty big. It's pretty big for Wrexham. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see if they can qualify and get promoted for next season's Premier League, of course. But we shall see. We shall see if that does happen. Like I say, the Championship is one of the most competitive leagues to get out of, one of the most difficult leagues to get out of. And it's going to be interesting to see how they go about their business. Van der Ven's quality. I agree. What are your predictions for today's games? Ooh, interesting. Right. We'll start off then with Leverkusen Arsenal, because that is the 5:45 game today. Arsenal win that. Arsenal win easy. I'm going 2-0 Arsenal. Arsenal win 2-0. They get the job done. They take it back to the Emirates next week, where one goal kills off the entire game. Arsenal going through. No doubt in my mind. I hope I'm wrong, but you never know. PSG Chelsea. I'm going to say PSG. I'm going to go 3-2 PSG. I think there could be plenty of goals in that game. I think Chelsea are awkward. Chelsea shoot themselves in the foot time and time again. There probably even could be a red card in that game, as there tends to be in Chelsea games. But I think PSG will just about get the job done at the Parc des Princes and then take it back to Stamford Bridge, and they'll do basically what they did last season to the English teams away from home. They will suffocate them at home. Bodo Glimt Sporting. Bodo Glimt, obviously the talk of the Champions League so far this season. I hope Bodo Glimt can do something in this competition. I would love it if they did. I think Bodo Glimt being at home, being in Norway, taking advantage of their artificial pitch that they have, the unique setup that they have, I think they actually get a good result tonight. I'm going 2-1 Bodo. I'm going 3-1 Bodo. So I'm going big on Bodo Glimt. I'm going big on Bodo Glimt. I'm going 3-1 Bodo Glimt, and I think they managed to get the job done in Portugal next week. And then, of course, massive game, Real Madrid, Manchester City. I think City absolutely slap up Real Madrid. I think City absolutely slap up Real Madrid. I'm going 3-1 City. I'm going 3-1 City. I think if Liverpool can dominate Real Madrid, I think City can. I'm going 3-1 Man City, and then I'm going for them to absolutely kill the game off when it goes back to the Etihad. I think City will absolutely kill off Real Madrid. Let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comments/chats. Would be great reading, of course. Need Ireland to get to the World Cup. Fair play. I say World Cup's going to be massive this year, especially being where it is. It's going to be massive. It's going to be it's a bit controversial, and it's going to be crazy because the location. But I'm hoping for a good World Cup. I mean, I didn't have a lot of high hopes for Saudi, and yet that turned out to be pretty damn good. So Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, you just won't have a certain president who decides to try and be the center of attention. Yeah, we shall see. Nice indeed. Iran is supposed to go to the World Cup. It's going to be interesting. It's all going to be interesting. It's all going to be revealed later on. But look, guys, we're going to end it there. We're going to end things there. We're going to wrap things up. Thank you all so much for watching, for listening, for taking time out of your busy schedules to hear the ramblings of this guy. Do me a massive favor, though, people. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. You guys are absolutely awesome. I cannot thank you enough for the love and support on the channel, as well as for the love and support mainly at the time of, obviously, this video. Your interactions. If you've liked the video already or you've subscribed during this video, then fair play to each and every single one of you. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for obviously helping the conversation move along. You guys have been absolutely awesome as per usual. Really appreciate you all being here. Thanks, Fletch. You're a legend, mate. No, you're a legend, bro. You are the legend. You're the legendary people. I'm just a guy who rambles about whatever. Like I say, hopefully we get more positive streams in the future when it revolves around Liverpool. So hopefully, we come back from our 1-goal deficit back at home, back at Anfield next week. Yeah. Until then, we've just got to lie on this result. Hopefully, we get a good result at the weekend against Spurs, but who knows? Yeah, a lot to work on. A lot to work on as far as what Liverpool are concerned. But fingers crossed. Fingers crossed things can only get better from here. Big up to each and every single one of you. Like I say, thank you for being here with me this morning. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the love and support. Like I say, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section if you're watching on playback. Would love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on anything and everything that we talked about in this video. What you have to say will make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure. So please do get involved. And without further ado, thank you all so much. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.